With speculation for Super Smash Bros. Dying down, why not turn our attention to another Nintendo fighting game releasing soon? We've had a full wave of character reveals for Pokkén Tournament in the last week, so let's see just what they bring to the game as its release draws near. January's edition of Korokoro revealed a grand total of 3 new fighters, the first being one pretty much everyone saw coming. Non-shadowed Mewtwo has finally made his presence known. We're given little to work with from his screenshots, but the official Pokkén website describes him as combining cerebral agility with incredible power to dominate any adversary. This seems to imply he'll have a focus on heavy pressure while still being mobile, and since he becomes Mega Mewtwo X for his burst mode, it seems he'll still be capable at close range. Surely he'll have a weakness though. Perhaps he'll be a glass cannon just like he is in Smash? We also got a few more screenshots of Shadow Mewtwo which show off a couple rather unusual attacks. That is, one seems to directly imitate Charizard's flamethrower, and others involve swinging dual energy blades that seem awfully familiar to a couple of Sceptile's Leaf Blade variants. Could Shadow Mewtwo's moveset be an amalgam of every other character on the roster, like some kind of corrupted Mega Man? Joining Mewtwo is the Sinnohan powerhouse Garchomp, our first ground type and first dragon, unless you count the Mega form Charizard takes for only his burst mode. A heavy-hitting powerhouse, Garchomp is said to be all about using his tools, and I do say his, as the notch on his back fin confirms he's male, to get in on his opponents and maul them. Secondary powers such as Sand Tomb and Dragon Rush are designed to help achieve that, and going off his health meter, Garchomp looks to be another heavyweight alongside Machamp, Suicune, and Charizard. However viable the Landshark Dragon ends up being, he's sure to be a favorite in casual matches just like counterpart Bruisers Bowser and Ganondorf. The third newcomer though? Not quite what many people expected. We have our first character from Gen 6 and it's Braixen? Okay, just for reference, I was a big Delphox supporter. This wasn't quite what I was hoping for, but you know, this is okay. Our first Pokemon from the more recent games, the first to already have an assist elsewhere in its evolutionary line, the third fire type when no type other than fighting has seen more than 2 characters yet, and the first to be in its middle stage save for the walking electric exception to most rules that is Pikachu. In a way, Breixen is a surprise the way Robin was a year and a half ago. Except here we got Morgan instead, but that's still okay. As with Garchomp, we only have a little to go with from description and screenshots, but if her stats and abilities reflect those the Fennekin line has in the main series, and I use her here mostly out of habit because of the female Delphox I had in my X playthrough, it sounds like she'll be an agile fighter who excels when she has breathing room. Although she may not be without means to fight at close range, her wand looks big enough to be a full staff, and will probably give her a handful of disjointed attacks similar to some of Smash's sword fighters. It's a good thing too. One of the screenshots shows Braixen starts with only 540 hit points, among the lowest we've seen so far. There does seem to be a bit more of a focus on witch thematics than mage ones, which is a little disappointing from where I'm standing, but that's a very subjective thing that doesn't mar the overall design at all. We get a couple glimpses of a burst attack and possibly burst mode, but no for sure ideas on exactly what they are other than how it seems to be focused more on the wand/staff itself. In addition to being an interesting addition to the game, Braixen's inclusion also indirectly raises the chances of some other characters. By getting in despite Fennekin already being an assist, the doors open for characters in similar situations, notably Greninja and most of the evolutions. And now the question is worth asking of if there are any other popular middle stage Pokemon that have a chance now. Could this give an opportunity for, among others, Jigglypuff and Duat? But none of those 3 matched the hint we were given on Twitter a few days prior, meaning a 4th character was to be revealed online a few days later, and it turned out to be Chandelure? I have to say, this one was a shock. I was expecting Tyranitar and hoped for Galvantula, but a 4th fire type? Surprises aside though, I really like this pick. For all the flack Gen 5 gets sometimes, it has a lot of fan favorites, and Chandelure is one of the most popular ghost types nowadays. As far as details go though, once again we're limited to just a few screenshots and a description that says the flames of its long-range attacks can consume anything. We haven't been given many examples of said attacks though, other than a whirl of ethereal flame that seems to be the start of Chandelure's burst attack, as well as either part of a burst attack cutscene or a victory animation, and an amusingly unwieldy attack where it whacks Blaziken with its arms. Another thing worth noting though is its size. Did you guys think Chandelures were that huge? Me neither. That'll make it a pretty large target. We're left with even more questions for Chandelure than with the other three. What are its burst abilities like? How are they differentiating it from Braixen, another fire type who fights better at a distance? Could the fact that they felt comfortable adding 4 Pokemon from one type mean the base roster is significantly larger than what we were expecting? For now, it seems we'll just have to wait a while longer until they reveal more. But there is something very intriguing to take from this. You see, there's already a Chandelure in the game, wandering around out of bounds in the haunted house stage. Turns out being a background object doesn't rule out a character, which bodes especially well for fan favorites such as Heracross, Superior, and Trevenant. But somehow, that still wasn't it. 2 more sets of assist Pokemon were revealed. The first features Pachirisu and Magikarp, which might be a joke set. Or maybe it's one with deceptive power. They haven't said what these assists do yet, so perhaps Magikarp does something like hitting with Flail and dealing higher damage to lower its summoner's health. Or perhaps it gets in the opponent's way. Or maybe it has a small chance of evolving to a Gyarados and wreaking havoc. The other has some wider-reaching implications though, as it features Krogunk and Sylveon. A very popular Pokemon right now, and more or less the face of the fairy type, Sylveon was a character pegged by many as the most likely evolution to be playable, and the most likely pick if a second fairy type were to get in. But now, is either scenario even in the cards? With Sylveon and Togekiss out of the running, who could be left if a second fairy were to get a chance? Jiggs? Mawile? Xerneas? But one final notable piece of info was given to us. A release date, March 18th. Turns out we have less than 2 months to wait before Pokkén Tournament will find its way to the Wii U. The more we're finding out, the more the hype is building. These newest additions to Pokémon's roster are only making the wait even more arduous, but the closer we get to the middle of March, the more reveals we're going to see. In fact, it's been a while since we've had a Nintendo Direct, and there was one around this time last year. Perhaps we'll see another newcomer revealed through one in the next couple weeks. And I'll be sure to weigh my thoughts in as more major news breaks, whether for Smash, Pokkén, or elsewhere in Nintendo's competitive community, as niche as that is. If you've been impressed by this little analysis, please give the rest of my channel a look and see if there's anything that catches your interest. And as always, thanks for listening.